Ready? Skeleton crew. I'm rolling. Whatever you guys want, questions, we're rolling.
I mean, is there anything you learned in the tape that you hadn't seen on Saturday?
No, we addressed it, moved on, turned the page. Great experience for the players, administration, staff, fans, people, Oklahoma State. And I apologize for the text. I've returned like 168 text messages and have so many more I can't get to. So I'm doing the best I can, and it's a great night for Oklahoma State and forever. And but now we're moving forward. But it's awesome.
What did the rest of your night look like once you left talking to us till now? I mean, what are the best,
Mine?
Yes.
Well, I went home on my couch and ate and with my dogs, laid on the couch to watch games.
Are they excited that they just won Bedlam? What they super
The dogs?
The dogs,
The dogs
yeah.
fired up, yeah. They love when I come home. I give them free food and stuff, but I'm not supposed to, but I do.
I know you don't really necessarily get to see guys as a group on Sunday, or probably not yet this morning, but have you interacted with anybody and seen, are you starting to get a vibe for how guys are doing in terms of putting this,
I
putting
have
this
not
behind?
seen them.
Okay.
They have their routine. Some of them lift on Sunday and do stuff. It's in a different part of the building than me. I'm in 8 to 10 hours of meetings on Sunday, so I'm not very visible. But that's normal on a Sunday.
From that standpoint, are you curious to see what the attitude is like tonight to make sure that guys are putting Saturday behind them properly?
Well, one of the reasons I'm really pushing moving forward, we have to every week, right? You guys have followed and covered me for a long, long time, and I always say that. Whether you have a great win or you have a tough loss, you always have to move forward. But for me to not address the situation now in moving forward would be a mistake in my opinion. So that's why I'm just moving forward, because otherwise this won't move forward. It's too big of a situation in the state of Oklahoma to just go away in 1 or 2 days. So that's why we as a staff have done that. I addressed them this morning in the staff meeting. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I don't want to hear about what's going on, the goofy text and all the fans that are having fun with it. We're moving forward. You're moving forward. I'm moving forward. My job's to get the team to move forward.
I understand you got on the film or the video pretty quick after Saturday. Were there any things in there you noticed that you didn't really pick up on the sidelines that, wow, that's a good play, or that guy had a hell of an effort, or?
So you're on my team and you're not even letting me move forward. It's beautiful.
No, you moved forward. You moved forward by cleaning up the last
I know. So I'm trying to reprogram my brain. It was a good football game. One thing I said after the press conference, after the game, that I think is true is that it was a typical Bedlam game. There's big plays, weird play, big play, weird play, 3rd and 14 conversion, 3rd and 16 conversion. And then in the end, it was two good teams playing football. And then in the end, in my opinion, we did enough to capitalize on mistakes that they had made, and that's why we won.
When you see a play like, about him a lot, he had the pick, but the play at the end, for him to have the mindset of knowing where the stick is, knowing he really didn't try and break up the pass. He was concerned about keeping the receiver from getting to that stick.
Right. So from day one when he arrived here, there was discussions about him being able to play early in his career because he has a very high football IQ. And to be a true freshman, to be in that moment, to understand who they're going to throw to, who they're going to throw to. He's perfect for those situations. In most cases, it's a pick play in the boundary. He sees that. He plays over the top of the first receiver, which most guys run into it. That's why they run that play. Very popular play, good football play, good call for that time. But he plays over the top. They had another freshman, I think, is Cale a redshirt freshman? Number 10? Yeah. Okay. So 2 freshmen, essentially. One of them was smart enough to jam number 2 to keep number 1, to keep him from getting up on Dylan, and then Dylan to get over the top and then attack Stoops and then make that play. For a true freshman is impressive.
You played 4 receivers on Saturday. What's the status of the other, Bray, Green, and Shetron going into this week?
I will not talk about that to give another team an advantage.
And
But
Mike,
we're accumulating guys, though.
expect to really have to coach up your guys a great deal on sustaining focus, considering the magnitude of what they have ahead of them? You know what I mean? You've only won 10 in a row around here
Well,
twice ever.
one thing that's been good with this group is that I think that we have instilled in them the importance of this practice today, and then tomorrow, and then the week, and then the only game. And I do feel that they understand the parity in college football, particularly in this league where it would be hard to pick who's going to win each game Saturdays. As I've said 100 times, this is the NFL now. 6-6 and 7-5 teams are going to be very common across the Big 12. Teams that are double-digit wins are not going to. They're going to be pretty rare moving forward because of the parity, because of team free agency, portal, NIL, and all that. So I think that has helped them understand each game. So they know they're playing a team that's number one in the league in offense. They're averaging 5.7 yards per rush. How about this? They're 50% on third down conversion. 50%. Okay? They only have 51 yards per game in penalties. The coaches I don't know, he's coached about as many years as I have as a head coach. He probably more than me if you count his high school. The guy understands offensive football, and he's had tremendous success everywhere he's at. And they were ahead of Kansas State in the fourth quarter, I think. They were ahead of OU late in the game on the road, both road games. And they had every chance in the world to beat Baylor. So I think all of that together makes people aware in our team that guys better focus and practice. That helps without me just telling them.
I know you've only been around these new coaches a couple of times. What's your personal experience been around Malzahn? Because I only have limited, and I would think you and he might be.
I haven't been around him. He's been in that world down there. He was at high school coach over here when I was really young in my career, so I didn't recruit Arkansas. And then he went to Arkansas. They were in the SEC. Then he went to, I don't know, somewhere else, and then he ended up at Auburn. But he's been in a world that I haven't been in. But I have seen him from a distance, and just what I said earlier, I've watched him and watched the success he's had over his career, and he's a smart football coach.
And he wasn't in Arizona this spring.
He was.
He was.
He
Okay.
was, but those meetings, I never migrate over to them because there's too much going on. It's just hard to get to guys.
They went to
It
Tulsa,
was a Tulsa, yeah, but I just never crossed paths.
7 or 8, like
Yeah.
OU and Tulsa were like 1, 2, 3
Yeah.
in offense.
I just never saw him on the road recruiting. We just were never in the same place at the same time.
Xavier Benson got Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. I know you talked about him before the year, about his growth from last year to now. Is that continuing, and what has stood out about what he's doing?
Well, he's reckless with his body, right? So, thing I've mentioned to you guys, if you're going to play well at this level, you have to have an ability to play reckless with your body, and if you get hurt, you get hurt, and that's what he's doing. Watch him play on video. He's running, he's slamming himself into linemen and giving his body up, and so he's playing well. And he's really evolved in his mental preparation and how he handles game situations, in my opinion. That's where he's made his biggest strides over the last 12 months.
Mike, what do you think about the way your offensive line's been able to shift its performance? What do you think about the turnaround for your offensive line?
Well, I've mentioned to you, the reason that we're playing good is because our offensive line is playing good. Early in the year, we were, for whatever reason, we weren't, and we couldn't manage anything. And they've picked it up the last however many games in a row, and playing physical, covering guys up, which allows us to throw passes, allows us to become better pass protectors, and we're more balanced and gives us a chance. And other than the years that we had a couple, 3 guys here, where we had a bunch of NFL receivers and NFL quarterbacks, we've always had to stay balanced in order to be good on offense. And that's where we're at this time.
Is there anything you can pinpoint that to, attribute that to the turnaround?
Well, we reduced the package, and we said we're going to do this, and we've cut back on assignments and things that they're responsible for, and then they made a decision to learn it, work hard, and the running back obviously sees it, feels better at it, got good vision. Then success and breeds success, and now confidence breeds confidence, and they get a little better every week.
Kind of
speaking to that, Allen might not have as many passing yards as you've had in the past with guys, but he's, for the most part, taking care of the ball and he's not taking sacks. How important, with how this team is built, are those two things that he's doing?
Well, we're different this year because we don't play as fast as we used to, so we use more of the clock and the time of possession in games than we ever have in the last, I don't know, 12 years since I've been here offensively. We used to play on a real fast. That's not who we are right now. So we're more possessive of the ball. It eats more clock. We're obviously considerably more run now than we have been in the past, and he's been operating in a good way and understands if he doesn't feel good about something, the best thing to do is throw it away and we'll live another down.
You mentioned a few weeks ago that he wasn't setting his feet. Have you noticed that he started to, take what you've been trying to coach him with that?
Well, Rattay's coaching him. I'm not. I'm just giving advice, and he's still got a ways to go there. I mean, you watch the games, you can see he moves a little bit, but he has success with it at times. There's times he's moving his feet and he throws completions. Ultimately, we'd like to get him settled down a little more, but he's getting a little better, and I think he's aware of the situation.
Mike Allen's come in all his post games of past Oklahoma State players. He seems to have really bought into the culture. Is that something you can identify in the portal, or is that just a surprise when a guy actually starts showing up?
For us at Oklahoma State, we bring recruits in, we don't really know who we have. We bring in portals in, we don't really know who we have. We do research and we know what we hear, but it's not always accurate. And a lot of times you don't know until they get here really what you have. So we're fortunate that he's come in and he's adapted to our culture and who we are, and it's helped us in a big way.
How much does it cost to replace a goalpost?
That I don't know. I'm going to go out on the edge here and say 30 grand, 15 grand. Well, did they take both down? Well, they could have took both for 30. If somebody would have got it, other than the smart engineering students that got it and supposedly cut it up into slices, you could have made enough money to fund NIL for 2 years by selling it to all the LSU people, would be my guess.
So you've talked about the support you've gotten right out here all year, and how they hung in with you a month ago or 6 weeks ago, and certainly made a difference Saturday, unquestionably. Cover that check if you have to. 15 grand for the goalpost, would you do that?
Would I cover it?
Yeah.
Since they're the ones that
Let me think about that. I'm trying to think if I could use it as a tax write-off. It's funny, when we were driving home, I thought about it a little bit, but I don't think anybody cares about covering on something like that. The only issue you have with that is people send me the copies of videos from, I guess, Twitter, where, the goalpost falls and hits people in the head. Those are things that you worry about. The rest of it, the students, it's part of life. Let them have it, tear it down. I don't know how they got a stadium. They must have passed it in the stands and then passed it over a fence or something. Right, but how did they get the big, long piece out of they must have passed it up here and passed it over the fence back here or something. Well, you can't go through the tunnel with it. But anyway, you have a good time. It's smart, have fun. It's part of a college experience. And so, they were here. They got to be at the last Bedlam and win and go celebrate and have fun. What it would be to be young again and swim in a 63-degree pond. If you and I did that, we might not get out.
No. I'm not doing that anytime.
No, I'm not doing it, but it's at that age, they don't care. Probably had good insulation with blood alcohol level. That'd be my guess.
Had some Diet Cokes.
Diet Cokes, good Diet Cokes.
How long were you on the field?
Not long. After I talked to Coach Venables and did the TV, it's like we didn't even do the alma mater, right? I had no chance to do that. So we started walking off, and I went over to thank the students. I had them walk me this direction to thank the students, and then I hit it and went to the tunnel. Not long.
What did you say to Coach Venables? You mind sharing that? What did you say to Coach Venables? What was that?
Oh, it's all personal.
Did you feel like maybe, I did a lap around the campus before it's maybe even beyond it, probably was beyond it, the Georgia game in '09 with regard to pregame and electricity and people and all of that.
Talking about pregame?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, the electricity was there. Somebody brought that up in the press conference or somewhere, I don't know, but majority of the Bedlam games that we've played, home or away, there's there's an electricity you feel in your body when you take the field and the crowd and the game and just the pageantry of college football that we don't want to lose, that sometimes is heading the other direction on us. That was there pregame, sure.
You got asked about Xavier. Got to ask you because it's monumental. Ollie Gordon is again the co-offensive player of the week. It's the fourth time. I think he's only the second guy to ever do that in conference history. To 4 times in a row be honored as the offensive player.
Yeah, so he obviously had a good game, made plays, made key runs, broke tackles. At times, Oklahoma inserted an extra player in the box to stop the run, which we knew they would. That was not a mystery. That's what I would have done, and it helped. There's times he ran through the guy, and he rushed for about $140, something like that, against a team that's, they're a good defense, and they're pretty good against the run. So it was a good day for him.
It seems like a lot of his yards Saturday were tougher, I guess, than in weeks prior. Is that almost more impressive that he's able to get to 130 on a team that knows that
Yeah, we talked about it in here a week ago. We all knew what they were going to do. It wasn't a secret, so it's just a matter of how you can manage. You still have to rush the ball some, but you have more access on the perimeter to throw. It's a give and take both ways. That's a cat and mouse game of football. But the tougher yards, and when you play Oklahoma, they're tougher because they're fast. So when he breaks through, they start showing up really quick. And that's why yards against them, since I started playing against them in 1986, it's always been an issue because of their overall team speed. They show up quick. So you don't break through and then just take off and nobody else shows up. That's where they manage the, against maybe the majority of other teams across the country, maybe the 140 or 38 he had would be 188 based on them not getting to him as fast. But Oklahoma has and can and probably always will run really well on defense.
Go ahead.
Whenever you talk about him needing to stay hungry and humble, it was that kind of evident that he's taking that advice that
he's doing good so far, but it's a challenge with him. It's a challenge. It's a challenge for me today. It'll be a challenge this afternoon. It'll be a challenge during the week with him because there's too many people telling him how good he's doing, and that's his personality. He loves that stuff, which is fine, and deservingly so. But it's unnatural for a human to be able to accept that much and then say, I'm going to go work tirelessly all week and get ready. He's done that, but it'll still be a challenge. And for us to think that it's not going to be would be poor coaching.
First time on the road against one of the new teams. You've been to Orlando for bowl games, but it's a different venue. What does that do? How do you guys handle that? I'm assuming you'll be on the grass because that's what they play on. And will you take the team there Friday since they've never been there?
They have 419 turf, which is good, low cut, thick, should be really good turf. We'll practice on the grass. Our turf is very similar to that. Obviously, we go dormant, they don't. A little difference there, but the point being is there's similarities with the grass. It won't affect our travel much. It's a West Virginia trip for us, basically, timing-wise. We'll be, it'll take, going with Jetstream, it'll take 2:08 to get there. Coming home, it'll take 2:25. So that's going to stay very similar to what it is at West Virginia.
You go to the stadium Friday or stay with your routine, not go?
Too much driving in a bus. We used to do it, but when you go to large metropolitan areas at the airport, you pack a bunch of 300-pounders in a bus and drive them over here and drive them all the way back. Then they've spent an hour or so on a bus, and they don't like that. So we changed over the years. We get to the stadium about 15 minutes earlier. They go out, walk around, check everything out, do whatever, and then we're good.
Like, what is it about UCF's offense, one of the top in the conference?
They do a good job. He does a good job. They spread you out. They rush the football. He's had 616 plays this year, and they've had 362 rushes. So they want to spread you out. They want to rush the football. They want to run zone. They want to run read zone. They want to run counter. They want to get in 4 wides, fly motion a guy, get back to their base running. They like the 20 personnel stuff, and he's done that for a long time. I don't know what he did in high school, but I know what he started. The stuff he's doing now, he was doing at Arkansas when he made that jump. And I saw it at Auburn forever, and So he's good at what he does.
You look back at any of that film from Arkansas to Auburn, just concept-wise?
No, no, he's been there now, what, 3 years, something like that? So, I mean, he's doing pretty much the same stuff. He's gonna have 2 or 3 gimmick plays. He always does. He knows what he's doing. He's a smart coach.
Like, how
What are the-
similar does Kansas experience give you guys even into this weekend? Obviously,
What's that?
Playing a team like Kansas, how beneficial is that experience in the?
In this versus this team, different concepts. Kansas is a triple option team, essentially. Wanting to run is the same, but how they're wanting to do it is different.
Defensively, you look at stats on UCF, and they seem really strong against the pass, not so much against the run. What stands out about them on that side of the ball?
It's a little bit balanced. It's swayed a little bit, as you said, in that direction. They've had some, they had quarterback issues, injuries, and we all know that can set you back. And they've missed on a few things that I'm guessing that they feel like they would have connected on. Things could have been completely different with their season. But for us, we are who we are now offensively. Everybody in this room knows who we are offensively, and they know who we are offensively. So now we need to be good at what we do on offense, because there's not a secret anymore. Like Kansas State-ish, Kansas, maybe West Virginia, nobody really knew who we were, but now everybody knows who we are. So let's just get good at who we are and be better than they are at what they do, than them giving us a chance to not play well at what we do. And that's kind of what we have to do, in my opinion.
I usually looked at some tape. I haven't had a chance to look at.
What about it?
Defensively.
They're 4 down, they're a 4-2, they want to play man coverage. They're overloading the box, playing man coverage, what they want to do. So that's what they'll do against us. If they're supposed to be 6 in the box, they're going to put 7 in the box, and they're going to play, put a guy in the middle of the field and play man coverage.
So like 9 years ago, you were having a hard time blocking. And I remember asking you, in your history, can you remember an offensive line maybe going from mediocre to really good in season? You said typically that does not happen. So.
You talking about something I said 9 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, no, but you
Well, no,
said
I'm just
typically
saying
that just doesn't
yeah.
happen. But so who are like 2 of the MVPs of this whole turnaround for the O-line, whether it's Dickey and a guy and one of your gut players, or who stood up in a meeting and said, hey, if we do this instead of that, okay.
That's my job.
You said enough is enough. We're going to do.
No, I just at one point went in and said, let's talk about who we are and what's the best thing we can do. And everybody started putting ideas together, and like, yeah, okay, good, yeah. And then I've said this, that we said, okay, at this time we think Ollie gives us the best chance based on his body structure, durability, experience, so on and so forth. This is what we can do. This is the skill set we have at the offensive line. How can we tie the passing game into it? Okay, let's do this. All right, the rest of the stuff's history. Let's go forward. Push all our poker chips out there. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it can't be any worse than what it's been.
Cooper's been pretty good since he got back in the lineup, and
Who?
Dalton Cooper,
Oh.
71, has been, and he looked, at least what I saw, he looked pretty good on Saturday too.
Yeah, he's playing good. They're all playing good. We've had the majority of them healthy. Brooks has been in and out recently, but the majority of them have been healthy for X number of weeks in a row, and that contributes to the question you asked. We can teach and coach them all when we keep them all in there. We start playing musical chairs, it's not as fun.
Did you get a sense of how much value there was Saturday in all your recruiting visits? I mean, did you get a chance to hang with those visitors a little bit?
Huge value. Huge value.
Mike, just going back to the offensive line, whenever you talk about the tournament, but whenever you're able to see not a lot of sack units at front 7 like Oklahoma, is that kind of a validation number for you guys?
You talking about limited sacks?
Yeah. just limited
Well,
sacks.
again, I'm not trying to simplify it so much and run away from the question, but if you can rush the ball, if we can rush the ball and stay balanced, then they have a two-way go. Early in the year and last year, when we couldn't rush the ball, the defense had a one-way go. They're just every once in a while worried about the run, and they're playing pass. They're not concerned with the run because we weren't good at it, so they could defend pass. So we're balanced now, so that allows us to do both. So it helps when defensive linemen have to play run first, play action second. It's a different concept for them. Instead of just pinning their ears back and coming full speed when we can't protect, and then the quarterback's running out of the pocket, which is what happened the last 6 games of the year after our injuries, and then the first 2 or 3 this year when we didn't do a good job of coaching. But now we're balanced, and so players that need some help in run-pass thought process are better because the other guy doesn't know what we're doing. And Dunn has done a good job in mixing up his play calling, right? He's done a pretty good job in that, and he's helped offset that tendency.
It's looked like to me, Owens and Pete have had a lot of success against man coverage. Is that what you're seeing as well, and what gives them that ability?
You're seeing a lot of that now because, again, you're getting an extra guy in the box, and so when that happens, a lot of times it's going to be man coverage, so you're seeing more of that. Those guys have played well regardless. Rashad's been, what do they call it in the NFL, the comeback player of the year or something, whatever that is, he ought to win that for what he's done up to this point with his maturity and experience, and then come out and made really good plays. And then BP's BP, right? You get the ball out there to him, and he's going to get some yards. If there's people there that are supposed to tackle him, it's probably going to make them miss and get some yards. It's a good football play. And then 17's been very impressive in his 2 games that he's played. He was just a catch or 2 away out here yesterday from having another huge game, but he's played very, very well.
You ended up burning Leon's red shirt. I imagine a lot goes into that decision. It was obviously needed with the injuries you guys have had, but what kind of went into those
We had
discussions?
anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody with any experience. We have young guys in our program that aren't ready to play. And so when you play players that are young in your program and they're not ready to play, in most cases, good things don't happen. Like, we worked with number 11 on defense. He kind of worked a little bit over a month period, you know what I'm saying? A little here, a little there, a little here, special teams, a little this, a little that. So the big stage that he was on wasn't as big as what it would be if you take a young player and go out and play. Now, I know Leon played at a small school, but he's also a college graduate. He's probably 23 years old. It's different for him. And he's a really mature kid. So he's handled this fantastic. But in that particular situation, we would have loved to have him back next year. But we didn't have any other options other than go youth and inexperience. Bad combination.
Talked about.
You have Oregon on the schedule, 25-26.
I don't have any idea. I didn't know.
Who knows?
Yes, 25.
Who scheduled that? Holder?
25, 26 here.
Holder's killing me.
Hey, the trip to Oregon will be great, though.
And honestly, if I agreed to it, which I probably didn't, most of the ones he did, he signed them, and then he said, hey, what do you think about playing the Patriots in 2028? And I'd go, well, I don't think it's best. He goes, I already signed it.
Brady's Patriots, or are those the Patriots now?
Who?
Were those Tom Brady's Patriots, or were those
Well,
his
the
Patriots?
Brady ones wouldn't have been good, but the other ones would probably still be tough on us. But so you brought it up for what? Yeah, what question?
I'll tell you what. If Chad were to call you today and say, Oregon needs out of that series, postpone, cancel, whatever you want to call it, I can get OU instead, what would you say?
That's way over my head.
What if he said it's your call?
That I wouldn't touch that on Twitter with a 10-foot pole. That's a no. Right? That's like commenting on gun laws or abortion or immigration or something like that. I mean, you have no chance on winning from the public on that. And so if I ever want to run for governor of the state of Oklahoma, you got to learn to avoid questions like that. That is a no-win question.
You for asking it, all right?
What, if I'm running for governor?
I already know you're going to do that at some point. Probably win, too.
No, I don't blame you for asking, but I wouldn't touch those. That's one of those questions I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole.
Personally, I want to go back and see the Animal House monuments again. That's where they filmed Animal House. That was a blast when we went up Oregon State.
All-timer, man. I mean, all-timer. When the Germans were bombing Pearl Harbor, I'll let him go. He's on a roll.